We're having a walk along the edge of the railway and the field. They've planted peas in the field. We're not walking on them. We've got a bit at the side where we can avoid treading on them. And there goes a train. Excuse me. I was going to tell you a little story today. I don't know if I've already told it. I probably have. It's from childhood, and it involves a train journey. Now, I'm going to try and tell this just how it happened. Now, I think I must have been, I used to think I was 12 at the time, but I think I must have been 13 actually. I was in London, living with foster parents. Foster dad, who was a smashing guy, I loved him. I learnt a lot from him. He taught me woodworking and stuff like that, as well as we used to learn at school. But he was a fantastic guy. Unfortunately, he wasn't there much because he was always working. And his missus, she was horrible. That's a kind way of putting it. Anyway, this day I hadn't been able to do the paper round because I hadn't felt well, and we'll call him Dad. He did it for me, and while I stayed in bed, I had to get up very early, about 5 o'clock, to do this paper round. Anyway, later on, when it was time to go to school, she came in. I didn't have a bedroom. I was sort of pushed from one place, sleeping in one place, to another, depending on how many lodgers there were in the house. This time I was sleeping in the main bedroom where they both slept, and she came to get me out of bed. She wasn't happy that I was still in bed. I told her I didn't want to get up, I don't feel well, and ended up, she gave me a bloody good hiding. She bashed into me, which she used to do quite regularly actually, for no reason other than me being a kid, I think, and acting like a child at times. Over there in that direction I can see, I'm just getting away from the story in a minute, I can see someone's put a camouflage netting up there. They may be shooting. I can't see any pigeons to shoot or anything to shoot at the moment. I'll just be careful as I go past there. Where was I? Oh yeah, she just finished giving me this horrible bloody good hiding, and I was still refusing to go to school, and there was a knock at the door. The main door was downstairs, so she had to go and answer it. Or was it her son who went and answered? Yeah, I think her son went and answered it, and the next thing, here's me sobbing and crying, and the foster mother in a hell of a bloody angry state, and the next thing, this lady comes up the stairs who I didn't recognise, and she just said, I've come for John, I'm taking John. And I was just totally confused, and it was my mother. I didn't recognise her. I hadn't seen her for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and in my mind my mother was always this most beautiful princess wearing beautiful clothes, and the lady who had come to get me, who was my mother, she just looked quite ordinary actually. I mean, pretty enough, obviously that's where I get my looks, but yeah, it was my mother, who I hadn't seen for years and years, suddenly come to take me. There was a taxi waiting outside, and I didn't even have time to pack. I think I dressed in my school clothes, that's all I had on. And she just, literally, I was just down the stairs. Didn't even get to say goodbye to my foster dad, who I liked very much. I was very happy to be leaving the foster mother. I'm just going to stop a minute because I won't pass by the shooting hide and let them know I'm here. Oh, no one there. We're safe. I hope they're not round the corner. Yeah, anyway, where was I? Yeah, so I was just whisked down the stairs. I think I had a little bag with a few bits and pieces in it, that's about all. And whisked down the stairs and into this London black cab. And sitting in the back of this cab with this lady who was my mum. Funny. And I don't remember how ill I felt at that time, but I think I'd probably stopped feeling ill, and I might have still been recovering from a few blows. And oh, she was horrible, this woman, this Mia, not in front of the camera, please. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, she used to batter me with her fists all over my body. I was used to fall to the ground, so she could, so I could curl up in a ball. She could do her worst. I won't go into what other things she used to do. It wasn't nice. Yeah, so I'm in this taxi, and we make our way. The taxi. I can't remember any of what Mum was saying to me or talking about. I think we were going to Scotland. Got in this cab all the way. Now I'm not sure what station it was. It might have been King's Cross, or it might have been Victoria, but we got to a station and there was this great long train at the platform. Turned out the train was a famous train called the Flying Scotsman. Have you heard of that? The Flying Scotsman was actually the locomotive, and it went from London to Aberdeen and sometimes beyond. So it's all exciting, isn't it? And we're now in the carriage. It's not what you can't compare it to a modern train carriage. I mean, in those days, even the second class compartments were pretty luxurious. And we were sitting there, and we're on our way to Scotland, which I had, obviously my mum told me I'd been to Scotland before, but I'd been too young to remember it. What else happened? Oh yes, in our compartment that we were in, it was a corridor train, and there were little sort of compartments. The corridor was along one side, and there were separate little compartments that I think they used to sit about 6 or 8 people. Mum and I were in one, and there was a man in there as well. And it turned out that he was a famous man. His name was, I think his name was Di Rees, and he was a Welshman. He was a famous golfer. Anyway, we established that he was famous, and he was going off up to Scotland to play in a tournament, golf tournament. And yeah, so we're all day in this train. It's very late at night. I don't know how long it took, hours and hours, and I remember getting up into one of they had luggage racks above our heads with netting to hold the luggage. I remember getting up in one of them and having a bit of a sleep up there. And well, anyway, it was I can't remember much of the journey. I was very excited, I know that, and I was with my mum. I was ever so pleased about that. Thought I'd never ever see her again. And we went and we got to Scotland. We got to Aberdeen station, and we got off, and next to the station was the bus station. So we went to the bus station, and there were all these strange looking yellow buses. Well, Mum said they were buses, but they didn't look like buses to me. I was used to seeing big red double-decker buses, and these were single-decker yellow buses. Oh, there's a nice apple tree, crab apple tree, I think. Yeah, I was used to seeing big double-decker buses in London, and why these weren't buses as far as I was concerned. They weren't buses, they were coaches. You know, buses were great big things. And we got on this yellow coach, and off we went. Long journey through wonderful countryside. I can't remember ever seeing such beautiful countryside. Remember, I'd come from South London, very, very built up area. All there were was houses, and there was a park nearby, but it was just a park. Yeah, so we went through a little village. Mum said that's Kemney village, and a few miles further up the road we came to a little place with 3 houses, a farmhouse on one side of the road and 2 cottages on the other. And at the 3rd cottage the bus stopped. That was another thing, buses just stopped there. There was no bus stops. You could put your hand out and stop a bus, and you could ask them to stop where you wanted. So we stopped at the 3rd cottage, and we walked up this driveway in this little granite house, and Mum said, "This is your new home." And there were loads of hens, and in a field nearby there was a cattle, and the other cottage down below had a field full of pigs roaming about. It was just, can you imagine, it's coming from London, a London boy, and then suddenly I'm in the middle of remote area in northeast Scotland. It was really strange. There was no electricity. The lamps were made of were oil lamps. There was no bathroom, no toilet. You had to go in a little shed round the back of one of the barns in a bucket. It was very odd. And just imagine that I'd come from London and there I am in the middle of nowhere, but loving it, loving the change and the quietness of it all. And of course my dream of being back with my mum has come true, and that's part 1 of that little story. I might tell you part 2 some other time. It didn't all go according to plan, of course. I didn't know the lady, the woman, my mother. I didn't know her, and well, that's another story. But it lasted, you know, there was a couple of happy years, and well, that's about it really. I don't know why I've decided to tell you this story, but the motorbike sidecar project is painted, and oh, I got a wheel. The wheel came today and it looks like it might fit. Unfortunately, I can't get to the to Andy's repair shop at the minute. There's no one there, so I'm going to have to be patient. But that's it. We're going to go a little bit further. We're going over the railway. Come on then. We better get back. Wait, here. Don't go near that electric fence. There's a big grey fella. Mia, wait. He's not there today. There's a big, beautiful grey horse normally in there. We're on our way back. I was watching sticklebacks earlier. Remember the old net and jam jar days when I was a kid. Sticklebacks and minnows. It's a lovely day, but there's a kind of a cold wind blowing. She obviously doesn't feel the cold. Look at the state of you. Look at the state of you. What have you done, Mia? Had a good time, that's all. Oh. I bet you stink. I bet you stink now. Is that nice? Lovely, isn't it, this field? All the trees are all getting green again, which is nice. I don't know if you've ever seen them in their green state. Oh, I'm sure you must have done on some of my walks. Yeah, I was going to say, it's a cold wind blowing, so consequently I'm all bundled up like a bundle of rags. And it's such a lovely day. I'm out of the wind now, and there's quite some heat in that sun. I went for a ride on the Sportster this morning. That was quite chilly then. This is where I'm lucky enough to live. just over in that direction. Believe it or not, less than a quarter of a mile away is my home, but it's because of the railway, it's quite a long trek to get here. Well, I say a long trek, it's a 15-minute walk, or in my case these days we'll call it a half-hour walk. Buttercups. He bent to pick a buttercup. Why anyone had left a buttock lying around was nobody's business. That was a bit of a joke. Buttock, buttercup, buttercup. I'll get me coat. Well, I would do if I wasn't already sweltering in the heat. Anyway, we'll leave it at that now. It's quite a nice little walk. Little walk and a story. What more do you want? Tell you what, I haven't brought my pipe with me. Otherwise, when I say what more could you want, I wouldn't mind just sitting down and having a quiet pipe. Right, I'll cross over the bridge. Shaking aspen tree. I'll say goodbye. Thanks for looking in. Take care. Bye. Steady. Steady. Portsmouth that way, London that way, and the rest of the world, of course. Steady. Wait. Go on then.